is Noemi Hanna of the Arc of Truth, and today we're going to be talking about the 2023 Louisiana gubernatorial election. And I bet you guys are kind of thinking, what's so special about Louisiana? It's a pretty conservative state. It's part of the Deep South. And yeah, that is definitely true, but you need to keep in mind that there are parts of the South have a few Democratic holdouts, specifically like governorships. In fact, in North Carolina, there's currently currently the Democrats have the governorship. Although I would not put it past eventually, once there is an election there, that the Republicans could potentially flip it. After all, there has been a major shift from within the state of North Carolina to shift to red, but I'm digressing. We're not here to talk about North Carolina. We're here to talk about Louisiana. And just recently, on October 14th, we saw that Jeff Landry, who is a Trump-endorsed candidate, managed to win in the state of Louisiana. Now, Louisiana, it has a very different system when it comes to elections. In fact, I would argue that it's kind of similar to what France has when it comes to presidential elections. Basically, in the first round of voting, everyone who meets a certain criteria is put onto the ballot, and unless a certain threshold is met, such as maybe 50%, especially in the case of Louisiana being 50%, two candidates who manage to win the most votes go to the second round of voting, and that's when the state chooses who is the next governor. In this case, however, this did not happen. In the first round of voting, Jeff Landry managed to win, and this was in spite of the fact that there were several candidates. In fact, I believe that there were 15, and two candidates who were also Republican managed to come in third or fourth place. In all honesty, if Jeff Landry did not make it to the threshold in order to actually pass the 50% threshold, if he didn't meet that, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people who voted for either John Schroeder and Stephen Wachusbach, weird last name in all honesty, I'm pretty sure they would have gone to him. In all honesty, I'm not surprised that Louisiana turned to the Republican Party. But the fact that the Republicans managed to win in such a spectacular fashion, especially unprecedentedly in the first round of voting, kind of signals what may happen to the general election. Now, here's the thing. This is not a bellwether state. Absolutely not. This is not going to show that. This is not going to be a major determining factor on what's going to happen in the 2024 election. However, it is important that a lot of things should be considered. In fact, a lot of the copium from Democrats, especially from TikTok, have actually been trying to find ways in order to somehow justify their loss. In fact, there was a recent video in which a black woman talked about how she was focused on the states of Louisiana and Texas because those were her home state and her current state respectively, and also the state of Florida because wherever Florida goes, so does the South. Although I kind of would argue otherwise because the South tends to lean predominantly Republican. Although, as I said before, early in this video, there are certain exceptions to that rule. But I digress. In the case of her video, she specifically mentions low voter turnout, and she even mentions how people have such short attention spans, as well as the fact with Bobby Jindal building a law of prisons within the state of Louisiana, which, believe it or not, she is right, but not for the reasons that she thinks she's right. Because she even says, I forget her name, and I'll try to post other links of other YouTubers that have actually have some of the footage from her, like from Liberal Highmind. I'll post his link down in the description down below if you guys want to check it out. But she specifically says that Louisiana is one of the least safe states to live in. It has high crime rate, has high amount of shootings, etc. There's so many issues, and I'm like, as I heard that, you kind of basically destroyed your own argument, saying that somehow it is the Republicans' fault, especially with Bobby Jindal, who was the previous governor, who was by the way Republican before John Bell Edwards, who, just to clarify, John Bell Edwards is the current Democrat governor of the state of Louisiana. And she basically says that somehow or basically implying that somehow having fewer jails because of Democrats or having more leniency, that somehow it's the Republicans' fault for all the problems that are occurring in the state of Louisiana, which makes no sense whatsoever. But the fact is that the problems currently facing Louisiana, such as the issues of the economy as well as criminal activity, after all, we see there is a heavy correlation between major cities and high amounts of crime, especially with the fact that Baton Rouge, the capital of Louisiana, as well as the city of New Orleans, are in Louisiana, and they're well known for being heavy centers of criminal activity. And again, as I said before, with the current situation of the economy, the fact that this situation nationally is affecting Louisiana's morale has managed to play that in the factor of the election. The other thing this also has contributed to the fact that there was much lower turnout prior to in 2019. Now, I'm looking at Wikipedia at this in regards to specifically just the turnout. I don't really like to use Wikipedia because it's not really a good use. But in the first round of polling, or no, in the first round for the election, it was 45.9%, while the runoff was 51%. In the state of Louisiana in 2023, that was 35.8%. Now, the reason why I believe this is the case is because the Democrats, the woman actually says that it's due to the low voter turnout was what kept the Democrats from winning the election. But I would also argue that the morale within both the state as well as the National Democratic Party is not what it once was. In fact, it's bad to such a degree, especially considering with all the major problems that's been going on. People just have had enough. They didn't really like their own candidates whatsoever. However, in the case of the Republicans, that's the exact opposite, which is why you have Jeff Landry winning in a landslide victory over his Democratic opponent, Sean Wilson. Just to clarify, he managed to win 51.6%, while Sean Wilson managed to win 25.9%. That's a pretty significant factor, and this comes at the cusp, I would argue, about the fact that Israel and Palestine are at war. And guess who's the supposed commander-in-chief? That's right, Joe Biden. So I would not be surprised if that little bit, especially with the economy itself, as well as with crime within the state of Louisiana, managed to trickle down and affected the Democratic Party, as well as the fact that they had such a low voter turnout. So it doesn't really... So that kind of behavior with Democrats, especially within the state of Louisiana, what does not surprise me. Now, again, this is not a bellwether state. This is a highly conservative state that has a supermajority in both houses of the legislature being fully Republican. So I would not expect too much of a change. Since now the governorship is now in the Republicans' hands, I would expect new changes within the state level, such as it being a constitutional carry state. In fact, a lot of Republicans have been trying to pass that for a while now. But I would argue that this does resemble the issue with the Democratic Party in a national level. They are very demoralized. They're forced to deal with Joe Biden, although, to be fair, they have the other alternative, which is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., even though he is under an independent campaign. But either way, most people do not like what's been going on if you were thinking from the Democratic perspective. They don't like the candidates, they do not like the outcomes of their policies, and overall that has caused demoralization within their own parties, both within the state and national level. I would not put it past myself that we may see something similar to that in the next future election, that being in 2024. Whether that would help Donald Trump or not remains to be seen. After all, there's already some factors that are being in play right now, such as the fact that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has officially announced that he is an independent for running for president of the United States. But who knows? For all we know, Louisiana may be just a fluke. Then again, it may not. My name is Nomi and on the Art Truth. Please post your comments down below, like this video, subscribe, share with friends. Also, if you have any issues regarding my videos, such as how I speak or any improvements I should make, please post them down in the comment section down below or directly message me. Thank you.
Almost